The Campaign Against Misery in the UK has shown that suicide is the leading cause of death among young men. The study shows that in 2011, more young men died from suicide than murder, road accidents, and AIDS, HIV combined. The statistics are quite appalling. In 2011, there were 6,045 suicides in people aged 15 and over in the UK, 4,552 male suicides, and 1,493 female suicides, according to the Office for National Statistics. There were 1,242 suicides of men aged 15 to 35 in the UK in 2011. This compares 377 suicides of women aged 15 to 35 the same year. The highest suicide rate was meanwhile seen in males aged 30 to 44, 23.5 deaths per 100,000 population in 2011. According to the official data, the suicide rate in males aged 45 to 59 also increased significantly between 2007 and 2011, 22.2 deaths per 100,000 population in 2011. Now, what they did is they went on to look at why this was happening. Like, what is the main cause of these suicides? Now, aside from the obvious economic situation, I mean, the increase from 2007 to 2011, that should not be a surprise that was caused by the global recession. But they say the main factor is actually stereotypical, accepted male gender roles. There is the gender identity, frankly, stupidity that we actually go along with this, is that we have to be in control and in command at all times. If you don't have a handle on what's going on, you don't have control, you're less of a man. Even those forward-thinking people who are consciously aware of this and aware that it's wrong, still fall for it. I mean, myself too. I mean, I get mad at stuff like this. Like, there's stuff about my job being threatened and I can't do anything about it. The landlord's doing this and this to you and there's nothing you can do about it. You're a man and you're expected to be in control and to take care of these things. And that when these things become challenged by social and economic conditions, men feel emasculated. They feel emasculated from a false sense of what is masculinity. And because they genuinely believe these ideas, it then becomes festering inside of someone's mind. Depression, suicide, self-harm, all of these kinds of things can come up. And it's all based off this false idea of what is masculinity. And it's this that has to go. It's also because of this idea, Latin Americans call it machismo, the ultra male identity, and not even necessarily ultra male identity, that if you have any problem like a mental illness, you don't say anything. You don't admit that you have any kind of a weakness. You don't admit that there's a problem and go and get help. Thus, that problem stays around longer, festers, turns into a mental illness, depression, and then eventually suicide. All because mental health help was not sought after, because of a perception in their mind from a gender position and also from a more general social position, because of a stigma that's placed on people for having mental health issues. Meaning, these deaths are not just attributed to economic means. There's also a great deal of social reasons why these suicides happen as well. Obviously, an abolishment of the capitalist system and its irrational distribution of resources and the anarchy that is capitalist production, and focus more on a needs-based society, on what people actually need to sustain themselves and to live happy lives, would make things tremendously better. But on top of this, we also have to tackle these ridiculous ideas of what is male and what is female on top of it. Now, these are fed to us by the media. These are fed to us by corporations, fashion designers, Hollywood, all kinds of people who have a vested interest in keeping these things the way they are in order to sell things to us. And this is very much profit motive driven. Think about it. Right now, there's this idea that men have to do skin cream, men have to go get manicures, have to go do all the kinds of beauty spa stuff that women do. And this is becoming more normal. It's accepted. we're supposed to go out and waste money on this frankly bourgeois garbage. But why all of a sudden the change? Are we becoming more enlightened? Hardly. That's not the purpose here. If we were more enlightened, we'd be throwing these stuff out. There'd be no ideas that you have to look a certain way, your nails have to be absolutely perfect to go get, a man facial and all that stuff. These things are stupid, male or female, these things are stupid. And they're just tremendous wastes of money and resources that could go to people who need it far, far more. But what's important here to realize is the actual change that's taken place. It was not always this way, because we're in the middle of the transition right now. I mean, like 10 years ago, this would have been completely ridiculous and you would have been called gay for doing it. But what's happened? Basically, the people who own these services found, well, we make a lot of money off of the gender role that we've pushed on women and what constitutes that. Beauty, hair, nails, and all that other crap. Well, we're excluding 49% of the population and we could be making money off them. All we have to do is break down this idea of what is male and what's female in order to make money off of them. While true, this is in a way blurring the line between male and female, which is very much a good thing, it's doing it in a tremendously reactionary way. It's only doing this in order to make money off of us. If we were to say, to hell with this, we're not going to fall for the consumerism, we're not going to fall for all this bourgeois garbage, and just be ourselves instead of the fake selves that these companies are trying to sell to us, would be much better. So all of these things together, this is a gender issue that faces men. These suicides are a result of the gender role that we place on ourselves. This is not disadvantaged men in society. Okay, this isn't women doing this to us, because that's something that organizations like particularly MRAs might point to and say, oh look, men are disadvantaged in society. But this is not something women are doing to us. This is something we do to ourselves. We go out and insult each other over things like this. We say, oh, that guy's weak, whatever, because he doesn't conform to this. We are policing ourselves on this. So there is no turning around and saying men are disadvantaged in this way. This is something we do to ourselves that we are responsible for. So I think what we really need to do is really get past these ridiculous beauty standards that were once previously pushed on women are now being pushed on ourselves. All of these false bourgeois concepts have to be thrown into the dustbin of history if we are not only just to make ourselves healthy, but if we are even to be able to survive as human beings.